We have multiple New York Knicks updates in regards to a few different players on this roster, and this has absolutely huge implications for the rest of this New York Knicks season and beyond that as well. And we are going to discuss all of this as a lot of players have been out with injuries recently, and we have some injury updates, and those will have direct impacts on what the Knicks decide to do with that final roster spot going into the NBA playoffs. And we're going to break all this down. So a lot to discuss, guys. What's up? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And guys, if you're part of that 64% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, this is the place to be for all New York Knicks content. We're having a bunch of fun making these videos. We have multiple videos every single day, and you guys do not want to miss out on all the fun content. All that being said, let's jump into the video. We have a lot to discuss here. So the New York Knicks, well, we all know that there's been a lot going on with them, as Tom Thibodeau's team has been stretched pretty thin recently. Multiple different guards have been sent out with injury. I mean, Deuce McBride and Cameron Payne both went down pretty close in proximity to when Jalen Brunson had an ankle injury. There was a bit of a span of time that Deuce and Payne were healthy, but both of them ended up going down with injuries basically within a week of each other, and then just not too long after Brunson went down. And where everything stands right now, the Knicks have been stretched thin at point guard to where it's Delon Wright and Tyler Kolek as the final two guys available for this roster to play the point guard position. And now, as we know, because we've already seen the update, Jalen Brunson is on his way back from that ankle injury. He is practicing today, Friday, April 4th. On top of that, he is going to be playing either tomorrow or very soon after tomorrow. So that is an absolutely huge sign for the New York Knicks, who desperately need their superstar back, given they've been 8-6 with him, but with him out, that is. But at the same time, the Knicks need to be their best selves, and Brunson needs to get his feet back under him before the NBA playoffs begin for him to be his best self, if you ask me personally. So that's absolutely a huge sign, but there's more than that. On top of all this, New York Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau has given a major update on both of the other 2 point guards down with injuries in both Deuce McBride and Cameron Payne. So that's something to be very aware of as well. And while diving into these updates, it was revealed by Tom Thibodeau that Deuce and Cam should be playing any day now, which is a huge sign. I mean, Deuce McBride's been averaging 9.4 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game this season, while shooting 37% from 3 and 41% from the field. He's also shooting 39% on corner threes, which he's been very good at. He's still young, he's still getting better, and he's been the Knicks' 6th man this year and the one consistent piece off the bench all season for the New York Knicks. Now, he was thrusted into the starting lineup when things took a turn and Jalen Brunson was out with that ankle injury. On top of that, there's also Cameron Payne, who is averaging 7 points per game, 1.5 rebounds, and 3 assists on the season, while also shooting 41% from the field and shooting 36.6% from 3 and 37.5% on corner threes. Payne's been a good veteran to have, and he's been mainly doing the point guard duties more than Deuce McBride has. Now, if Jalen Brunson's out, the Knicks do start McBride, but when he's in there and Deuce and Payne are both available, Payne's running the backup point guard slot while Deuce is playing more of an off-ball role. So Deuce, as we know, is sort of in that combo guard position completely. He does both. He's ready to be on the wing, spotting up. He's also ready to be the lead ball handler. He said he's played point guard his entire life. He's happy to handle that, even though he's hardly played the position this series or this season. And he's absolutely right about that. I mean, we've seen Deuce as a starter play very, very well. He's putting up 13.9 points per game as a starter this season, so 14 points effectively with 5 assists, 1.5 steals per game as well, with 3 rebounds, shooting 39% from the field and 40% from 3. So the field goal percentage is not good at all, but the 3-point percentage is great. So Deuce is finding his way as a starter with the Knicks, and there is some thought to him potentially starting in the playoffs. I will say I don't expect Deuce to start in the playoffs. I think if the starting lineup gets changed, it would be to throw a guy like Mitchell Robinson in there to give more rim protection, and then have Josh Hart come off the bench and have that bench unit look like Deuce, Cameron Payne to a lesser extent, but Cameron Payne, Josh Hart, and then on top of that, you kind of just go from there. Those are Deuce and Josh Hart would be your 2 key bench guys, and Mitchell Robinson would start with Karl-Anthony Towns. That could also thrust Precious Achiuwa potentially into the rotation. We know that Landry Shamet has a good fight for there as well, so there will be a few guys the Knicks will have to figure out what to do and where to go with here. But also, this might not be the final product of this season's New York Knicks team, as it does all kind of fall on what happens with Delon Wright. Wright's been playing a very, very, very good brand of basketball for the New York Knicks as of late. I mean, since he's become a starter for the New York Knicks, he's played really, really well. I mean, 4 games that he started so far, and there's a world where he's not done, But if he is, in these 4 games where he played an average of 33 minutes a night, he had 2 games with 12 points and 2 games with 7 points, which does equal 9.5 points per game. It is funny that he went 7-12, 7-12, or 12-7, 12-7, whatever you want to call it. It's fine. Also pulled down a few rebounds, got 3.5 rebounds per game and 4 assists. He looked really good. He also got nearly 2 steals a night, showing that he is still one of the best on-ball defending guards in basketball. And he did prove that he's an NBA level player. I've been saying that I think the Knicks should waive Delon Wright for another type of player. But at the same time, it does make sense why they have Delon Wright after all, because if everyone gets injured, there's Delon Wright ready to help you out. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a lock for the Knicks. If they want to go in a different direction, like a bigger guy who's not a 5th point guard on the roster, then yes, I do think Delon Wright's the guy who they would move on from, because Landry Shamet's been playing too well, that he's played himself into the rotation more, and Wright will fall out of the rotation once Deuce, Payne, and Jalen Brunson are back. So we'll see what happens with that. But it does make things a bit more complicated for the New York Knicks, for sure. Now, Tyler Kolek, on the other hand, he's the Knicks' future plan for their backup point guard slot behind Jalen Brunson. Kolek's 24 years old, and, well, he's a rookie. He's an older rookie, but he's only putting up 2.7 points in the last 7 games when he's gotten 17.5 minutes, but he is getting 6 assists in that span. The field goal percentage at 24 and 3-point percentage at 15 are just not feasible at the NBA level. It's only a few shots, and most of them are coming from the 3-point line, but at the same time, it is something to be a bit worried about. However, I do think Tyler Kolek's going to be fine, and the inconsistent minutes and play has definitely just been kind of part of itself. We've seen him be more consistent in the G League, so that does have an impact on things, though his shooting percentages weren't great there either, so we do have to keep an eye on Tyler Kolek. Meanwhile, you look at Cameron Payne, who's been averaging 9.5 points, 5.3 assists, and 3 rebounds in the 4 games that he started this season. Those games were 28.3 minutes. Now, that final game is when he hurt his ankle, and he did have 15 points very quickly into that game. Payne is a very spark-pluggy guy. You love to have him because he's not afraid. He's super confident. In these games, he's averaging over, nearly 5 3-point shots per game. He's shooting the 3 with a ton of confidence, and he's just shooting the ball with a ton of confidence and playing confident. 40% from the field, 39% from the field as well, and 38% from 3 is not ideal numbers as a starter from Cameron Payne, but he is more of a low minutes, high impact in those minutes guy, where he gives a few things here and there, but for the most part, you want him in for 7 to 10 minutes a night in the playoffs. I think that's really the cap that it could be on. It could go down to literally 0 if they want to go with Deuce. Say they start Mitch and they want to go with Deuce, Josh Hart, Landry Shamet, and Achua off the bench. Well, then there you go. You don't have a room. You don't have a spot for Cameron Payne. You don't have a room for Cameron Payne like it's a hotel or something. I'm stupid, guys. But look, where Cameron Payne is at right now, he has been an impactful player for the Knicks, and he's not done being one, as now he does return soon to the roster along with Deuce McBride, and that is super helpful for the New York Knicks, and I'm really excited to see all these guys, including Jalen Brunson, back on the floor. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you want to see the playoff rotation be? Should Cameron Payne be in it? Obviously, I don't have to ask you guys if Deuce or Jalen Brunson have to be in it. Should the Knicks move on from Delon Wright, or should his play recently have earned him a spot for this playoff roster? You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'll hit you back. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, like this video if you're feeling funky. Have a great day, and go Knicks.